They told Kendra her father was dead, but not only was he alive, he saw her and turned away. And just when she thought she had buried him for the second time, his secret knocked on her door. The envelope was soft, almost weightless, but it burned her fingers. Kendra didn't move for a full minute. The girl, Zara, stood quietly by the door, her eyes low, as if she knew she had just delivered a bomb, not a message. Zara Okonkwo. That name tasted like betrayal in Kendra's voice. "Where is your mother?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "I don't know," Zara said. "You don't know?" Kendra asked with a surprised look. "She left a few months ago. He doesn't talk about her anymore," Zara replied. Kendra narrowed her eyes and asked, "He? You mean your father?" Zara nodded. Kendra gripped the edge of the door frame. That meant he was alone now, again. And this girl, this Zara, was the real reason he didn't chase after her in Port Harcourt. Because he had something else to protect, something he chose. And now, he was sending that something to her doorstep. Kendra wanted to scream. She wanted to slam the door in Zara's face. But something, maybe instinct, maybe trauma, made her step aside. As she said to Zara, "You can come in." Inside the apartment, Zara sat stiffly on the edge of the chair like someone raised not to ask for anything. She was 16, maybe 17, but she carried the weight of someone twice her age. "You said he asked you to give me this?" Kendra pointed at the envelope. Zara nodded. "What else did he say?" Kendra asked. "He said I should tell you he's sorry and that he wants to talk to you. He said he couldn't explain everything there." Kendra scoffed. "Of course, because the first chance he had to explain, he looked me in the eye and walked away." There was silence. Zara rubbed her palms together and said, "He's sick now." Kendra froze. "What?" "He's not pretending this time. He has kidney failure. He goes for dialysis twice a week. He sold the house in Port Harcourt. That's why we moved. We're in a small place in Kubwa now. He said he's running out of time," Zara narrated. Kendra turned her face away. Her hands shook, but she didn't want Zara to see. "Let me guess," Kendra said, forcing a smile. "He wants forgiveness before he dies, huh? Typical of selfish people." Zara said nothing. Kendra tore the envelope open. Inside was a crumpled photo of her when she was 10, standing beside a science project, a newspaper clipping of her NYSC award, and a small handwritten card. "I watched you grow, even when I wasn't beside you. I was a coward. I still am. But cowardice doesn't mean I didn't love you. Please, give me one chance to tell you everything, even if it's the last thing I do. From Dad." That word, Dad, made her stomach churn. The next morning, Kendra sat in her car outside a faded one-story building in Kubwa. She hadn't planned to come. She told herself she wouldn't, but sleep had refused to touch her eyes. That card kept whispering to her. The gate opened. Zara waved her in. Inside the living room, Kendra was hit by a strange scent of bleach, Dettol, and something sour underneath, a sick man's smell. Then she saw him, sitting on a plastic chair, pale, gaunt, holding a Bible. He clearly wasn't reading. He looked up. Their eyes met, but this time he didn't look away. "Kendra," he whispered, as if the name itself could heal him. Kendra folded her arms. Her voice was ice. "You've got 10 minutes. Start talking." He tried to rise. His knees buckled. He collapsed back into the chair, coughing. Zara rushed to bring water. "I'm not here to help you," Kendra said sharply. "You've already taken enough from me." He nodded slowly. "I deserve that." Then he began to speak. He told her everything about the gambling debts, the police, the fake identity, the loneliness. He told her how he watched from a distance, how he bribed someone at her university to keep tabs on her, how he cried the day she made it into an oil company, how he never stopped being her father but never had the courage to be a man. Kendra listened. Her heart broke again and again, but she didn't cry. When he finished, he leaned back. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said, but thank you so much for coming. She stood up and replied, I didn't come for you. I actually came for me. I needed to see the man I was mourning all my life, and now I know he died long before I buried him. She walked to the door. Zara stood at the corner, watching them. But just as Kendra turned the door handle to leave, her father collapsed. Not slowly, not like someone easing into a faint. He jerked, froze, and hit the ground. Zara screamed, Daddy! Kendra froze. She turned, stared at the man on the floor, foaming at the mouth. Zara was already dialing her phone, shouting to the hospital emergency line. Please, she cried. He's not breathing. His eyes, they're rolled back. Kendra stood frozen in the doorway, one foot inside, one foot out. If she walked away now, he might die. But if she stayed, was she ready to try again? The sound of sirens wailed faintly in the distance, and Kendra, she didn't know if she wanted to save him or let the lie die with him. The paramedics lifted her father's limp body into the ambulance. Zara sat inside with him, holding his hand and whispering his name like a prayer. But Kendra, she stood outside the gate, her arms crossed and her face blank. She couldn't still walk away. She said in her mind she should walk away, but her feet couldn't move. Not until a nurse leaned out and shouted, Madam, if you're a family member, come with us to the hospital. And that was the problem. Was she still his family member? Kendra hesitated. Then she stepped in. The door slammed shut behind her. At the hospital, the corridors buzzed with tension. Zara kept pacing up and down the corridor. Kendra sat, breathing in the scent of antiseptic. The doctor finally came out. He had a seizure, his blood pressure is unstable, and the dialysis isn't holding anymore. We are going to need a transplant soon, the doctor said. Zara looked at Kendra, her tears spilling. I'm not a match. Kendra flinched. She saw where this was going. I'm not here to save his life, oh, she said. I know, Zara whispered. But I don't have anyone else. No other family. I only found out about you recently. He had pictures of you in a box. That's how I knew your name. Kendra stood. He doesn't get to use me to fix his regrets. She turned to leave. But just as she grabbed her bag, the doctor walked back in. There's something you both need to see, he said. It's very urgent. They were led into a small consultation room. The doctor pulled out a file. I don't mean to intrude in personal affairs, he began carefully. But while doing initial scans for donor matches, something came up in your father's record. Something really strange. He opened a sealed brown envelope and slid out a printed report. Then he looked directly at Kendra. According to this, Mr. Okonkwo has no biological connection to you. There was silence, deafening silence. Kendra blinked. What? I ran a compatibility cross-check to see if you could be a kidney donor, but the results show you're not a biological match in any way. Blood type, DNA markers, nothing aligns. Kendra stared at him. That's impossible. Zara looked just as confused. But she's his daughter. He said so himself. Kendra's head was spinning. No, this has to be a mistake. I remember him clearly. The smile, the way he used to carry me on his back. The night he gave me my first storybook. Memories don't lie, she whispered to herself. They can't. But even as she said it, a quiet doubt crept in, a tiny whisper that grew louder by the second. Zara turned to the doctor. So, who is she? The doctor looked down, uncomfortable. I don't know, but I think you should talk to your mother. Kendra frowned. Her mother? The flight back to Enugu was quiet. Kendra didn't cry. She didn't speak. She sat quietly, filled with outrageous thoughts. By the time she arrived at the house, it was already dark. She walked into the living room, stood in front of the woman who raised her, and without sitting down, without even taking off her shoes, she said, Mother, please tell me the truth now. Her mother looked up from her Bible, calm, but her fingers tightening around the pages. What truths? Her mother asked softly. Kendra dropped the DNA report on the table. You said he was my father. You lied about his death, but did you also lie about who I am? The silence was thicker than anything Kendra had ever known. "Sit down, Kendra," she whispered. "No, I'm not in the mood to sit, so please start talking." Her mother took a shaky breath. Then she looked her daughter, or will I say her not daughter, in the eye and said, "You were never his to begin with, and neither was I your mother." She said the words like someone setting down a heavy burden. The room fell silent. Kendra didn't move. Her ears rang, her heart beating fast. She stared at the woman she had called mommy for 28 years. The woman who taught her how to tie gele, who applied rub on her chest when she had catarrh, who stood in the rain during her NYSC personal parade. "What are you talking about?" she asked. Her mother Ijeoma looked older in that moment, as if the truth had drained years from her bones. "You were left at a church. I was the caretaker at the time, just helping the reverend. You were barely 2 weeks old, wrapped in a faded wrapper, with a note that said, 'Her name is Kendra. Please take care of her.'" Kendra's lips trembled. "So why me? Why raise me like I was yours?" Her mother swallowed. "Because I couldn't have children. My husband, the man you thought was your father, he wanted to adopt, but it was complicated. So we took you in quietly, with no adoption papers." She paused. "I loved you like you were mine, and I was going to tell you, but then he left, and it all fell apart. I thought if I told you, you would run, you would hate me." Kendra backed away slowly. "You should have let me decide that. You should have told me the truth." She turned and walked out the door. This time, her mother didn't try to stop her. Back in Abuja, the hospital called. Her father, no, the man she thought was her father, was unconscious. His body was failing faster than expected. Zara had been by his side for days. Kendra hesitated. Then she went to the hospital. When she walked into the hospital room, it smelled of medicine. Machines beeped softly. The air was heavy. Zara looked up. Her eyes were puffy as she said, "He's not waking up." Kendra stood by the bedside, looked down at the man who had once lifted her onto his shoulders, who disappeared, who reappeared, who sent her a photo and a card and too many lies. She didn't cry. She just whispered, "I forgive you." Not for him, but for her. And then she let go. Kendra didn't search for her biological parents. She didn't feel ready. Some days, she woke up and felt like a shadow in her own life. Other days, she laughed with Sonia over pepper soup and forgot for a few minutes that her entire origin story had been fiction. She sold her car and took a sabbatical leave from work. She started volunteering quietly at an orphanage in the outskirts of Abuja, washing small uniforms and reading to the babies. One day, a girl tugged at her clothes and asked, "Auntie, who is your mommy?" Kendra smiled and replied, "I'm still trying to figure that out." On her 29th birthday, she sat on her balcony with a small cake she baked herself. No party, no call from her mother. Just Zara, now living in a hostel nearby, beside her, eating in silence. They didn't share blood, but they shared grief, and that was something. "Do you think we will ever be okay?" Zara asked. Kendra looked up at the stars. "I don't know," she said softly, "but maybe we'll learn to live with the questions." And that night, as the world moved on without answers, Kendra made peace with not knowing everything, with loving people who lied, with forgiving people who broke her, and with starting over again. You can subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories coming right up.